William Shakespeare. One of the most influential writers in the world. The wordsmith who is known as the most preeminent English poet and dramatist. William Shakespeare was born on April 23, 1564, Sandford-upon-Avon, which was the inception of a new world. He lived a basic, simple life with a fairly prosperous family. His father, John Shakespeare, was a successful glover, and his mother, Mary Arden, was the daughter of a farmer. He was the third out of 8 children. His 2 older sisters died due to diseases. Hopping forward, most biographers agree that Shakespeare attended the King New School, which was 400 meters away from his home. He learned Latin since the royal decree standardized Latin. He took heavy grammar and classical literature education to base on his career. Most children had to attend school because times were tough. They had to learn to base on a living.
In 1582, William Shakespeare was married to Anne Hathaway, who was 8 years older than him. She was a farmer's daughter like his mother. They had a daughter called Susanna, followed by twins named Judith and Hamlet. He lived a happy, peaceful life in a retirement house until his son Hamlet died for an unknown reason. His son's death had a great impact on his writing. Shakespeare left Stratford and went to London. He began his career as an actor and a playwright. Most of his plays were performed in the London stage by 1592. He belonged to a theatre company called Lord Chamberlain's Men. Shakespeare was busy in writing sonnets, plays, tragedies, comedies, and poems. In 1599, the members of the company built their own company named the Globe, which was renovated by the first theatre. The actors in Shakespeare's company included the famous Richard Burbage, William Kemp, and other actors. They performed many of his plays during those years. Shakespeare then became known across the country as a great performer and actor. Shakespeare wrote many oeuvres. He wrote poems, 37 plays, and 154 sonnets. Shakespeare's most famous creations were plays. His plays were divided into 4 types: histories, tragedies, comedies, and romance. The first plays that he performed were Richard III and Henry IV. The early plays were influenced by the works of other Elizabethan dramatists, especially Thomas Kidd and Christopher Marlowe. He wrote comedies with double plots, and many of them were famous and known since Shakespeare's history. Shakespeare introduced prose comedy into the histories of the late 1590s. His character became more complicated and full of tension when he began writing tragedies. And in his final years, Shakespeare turned to romance or tragic comedy as well as writing.
The revered dramatist William Shakespeare created many masterpieces during his life. His most famous plays were Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet, and Much Ado About Nothing. All of these plays were published in 1623 in the first folio. The tragedy of Macbeth, the shortest and most compressed of Shakespeare's tragedies, in which the uncontrollable ambition incites Macbeth and his wife Lady Macbeth to murder the rightful king and usurp the throne until their guilt destroys them in turn. In this play, Shakespeare added supernatural elements to the tragic structure, such as the black verse, soliloquies, and extended metaphors. Another play which is also a tragedy is Romeo and Juliet, in which the course of true love never did run smooth. It was written by William Shakespeare early in his career about 2 young star-crossed lovers whose deaths ultimately reconcile their feuding families, and ends in a tragedy. Much Ado About Nothing is a comedy by William Shakespeare thought to have been written in 1598 and 1599. It was believed that the word was notting, which means gossip. In the comedy, Benedick and Beatrice are tricked into confessing their love for each other, and Claudio is tricked into rejecting Hero at the altar of the erroneous belief that she has been unfaithful. In the end, Benedict and Beatrice join forces to set things right, and the other participate in a dance celebrating the marriages of the two couples. Moving into other writings, they were not as famous as his plays. In Shakespeare's final years, after the plague, Shakespeare wrote fewer plays, poems, and sonnets. Shakespeare died on 23 April 1616 at the age of 52. He died within a month of singing his will, a document which he begins by describing himself as being in perfect health. Shakespeare has been commemorated in many statues and memorials around the universe, and his legacy continues as one of the best dramatists in the world.